Welcome back. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Beeple Reactions. There is an artist named Beeple, if you haven't heard. He's quite famous on the internet, especially the new era of the internet known as Web3, which is coming real soon. We've got this artist named Beeple, famous for his 5,000 day image. The 5,000 day image is a supreme image consisting of 5,000 individual images combined into one to make one super duper image, and this also happens to be the most expensive NFT to have ever been sold, hence why it's so important, hence why we're talking about it. And if you look at these images for yourself, I'd recommend taking a look at it. The link is in the description below to the website of Beeple. I'm not getting paid to promote him, but of course, if I'm going to make my channel about him, it's only right, I guess. It's only right I promote the guy. But yeah, take a look at his images and your mind will be blown. Each image has its own crazy story, its own crazy meanings. And yeah, so in the images we've looked at in the past two videos, they've had like a Christmassy sort of theme to it. And even in this image today has a Christmassy theme today. This image is titled Winter Solace. Spelled SOLSTICE. I'm going to put it right here. Winter Solace. Now, I didn't know what that word meant, so I've literally just googled what that word means, and I found out it means the time or date at which the sun reaches its maximum or minimum declination, marked by the longest and shortest days. So I'm guessing this is referring to the minimum, since it's in a cold climate. Now, what exactly are we seeing within this image? Within this image, we are seeing trees that happen to be covered in snow. We're seeing snow on the floor. We can see a couple little bunnies. I can see a wolf just peeking out the right hand side. We have 3 reindeers. And the main attraction of this image is the massive crystal looking snowflake right in the center of this image. Now, this is the least Beeple image I think we've covered so far. There doesn't seem to be anything wacky about it. There doesn't seem to be anything weird compared to your usual Beeple image, which is just, quite weird. This is probably the most normal Beeple image that we've covered so far. It looks like your standard online digital image, your standard online artwork. The only thing that is abnormal is the massive snowflake. Snowflakes are just so beautiful. They have all these nice patterns and whatnot. So yeah, it's quite clear what we can see from this image. We've got a couple animals. We've got some stones laid out across the floor which have candles. I said lighters, which have candles coming from them. And what that makes me think of is a ritual. That makes me think of some kind of ritual, some kind of ceremony. And of course, all the animals are gathered together. We have bunnies, we have reindeers, we have wolves. They seem to be gathered together. They're surrounding these rocks, so there's some type of ceremony going on, some type of ritual. And one of the reindeers seems to be hurling himself towards this massive purple crystallic snowflake, which seems to be shining very bright. It's daytime, it's not nighttime within this image. Now, what is the deeper meaning behind this image? Because as you know, if you know Beeple, he doesn't just make images that look nice. He doesn't just make images that, hey, that would make a nice wallpaper. Every image of his has some sort of wacky meaning behind it, some sort of deep meaning behind it. And if I don't know how to interpret it, someone else certainly will. But I've made this channel because I genuinely believe the majority of Beeple images, with enough time, with enough energy, I am able to interpret them, and I am able to figure them out exactly what they're trying to portray and what is the significance behind the story of the image. And let's not forget that when the metaverse launches, and it will launch properly within the next few years, this whole metaverse that Mark Zuckerberg is trying to unveil into the world, these Beeple images are going to have a massive role to play in the metaverse. Let us not forget, these images are going to have a massive role to play in the metaverse. Each image is going to be like its own portal, its own virtual reality, which you can actually visit, you can walk amongst. So these animals, I'm assuming they'll be alive. You'll be able to walk around these animals, look upon these animals. So these are not just images, what we're looking at on this channel. There's so much more than that. And I will one day make a whole video just explaining the significance of these images. But let's get the subscribers up. No one seems to be subscribing. People are watching, but they're not subscribing. Come on, man. But yeah, back to the image. Now, there's a very pyramidical sort of look to this snowflake. When everyone thinks of the what do they call, the Illuminati, they think of like the three pointed triangles and 3 points. And I know a snowflake is a snowflake. Snowflakes have hexagonal patterns, but just the way this particular pattern looks, as you can see, there's 3 massive lines, one going diagonally towards the left, one going diagonally towards the right, and one going vertically upwards. There seems to be 3 lines which just stick out within the snowflake, which again makes me think of something perhaps ritualistic. The title of this image, of course, is Winter Solace, meaning, the coldest part of winter, where the sun is at its lowest level. So this is essentially the coldest part of winter, is what this image is trying to show. And these animals have come around and gathered around these candles. And one way I guess I would interpret this image is that it shows the love of animals. Animals who live in Arctic climates, cold climates, they're all fighting the same battle, which is survival. They're all just trying to survive. They're all just trying to make it through the cold. They're trying to survive. They're trying to make it through the cold. They're doing whatever they can. They've got these small little candles. They're gathered around the candles, whatever little bit of warmth that it's giving them. And it's honestly better than nothing. And I know animals are what is being used in representation in this image, but it also makes me think of humans, and it makes me relate it back to humans, because in a metaphorical sense, because humans, every human who's born into this world and lives until a significant age, you're bound to go through some sort of suffering, some sort of struggles, some sort of hardships. Everyone does, whatever it may be. I can't even start listing examples, because there's so many examples of how a man and woman can suffer in this world, feel unsafe in this world, go through hardships, trials and tribulations, major losses and minor losses. But this world is imperfect. We're not living in heaven, we're living in an imperfect world full of imperfections. And times are getting real cold now, man. Times are getting real cold, where people are literally working jobs that they don't even enjoy, because they're forced to, because they have to pay the rent and they have to take care of their children. There's all sorts of illnesses going around, sexually transmitted illnesses. We have viruses going around, and health seems to be deteriorating. Obesity levels seem to be increasing. There's murders happening over no reason. At least back in the days, throughout ancient history, when there was murders happening, there was usually some sort of reason behind it. I'm not saying it's justified, but it was linked to tribalism, or it was linked to colonialism, or some type of warfare. Nowadays you get people just getting murdered over literally nothing, over petty stuff. People really struggle to let things slide. So the world is getting colder and colder, and I don't mean that in terms of weather. I mean in terms of people's hearts. People's hearts are becoming colder. Personalities seem to becoming colder, due to the situations and circumstances of today's world, especially this information age of, social media and YouTube, this whole alternate reality, which is like a fake world, but it coexists with the real world, and that leads to a lot of identity issues, especially amongst the younger generation, who are really struggling with having a sense of belonging and a sense of identity in today's world. So I know I've probably made this image out to be way deeper than it actually is, but these animals gathering together around this little bit of warmth on the coldest day of winter makes me think of how humans, all types of humans, you've got your strong men, you've got your sweet feminine women, you've got your little kids, you've got your snakes, you've got all types of humans with all types of, personas. But at the end of the day, we all come together. We all appreciate warmth, we all appreciate our sleep at night, we all appreciate the good things in life, no matter what your preferences are, and we're all just trying to make it through the coldest of days. It's better that we're all going through it together. If we're all going through it individually, we came onto this world by ourselves and we're facing all these hardships, it would be a lot worse. The fact that we're all going through it together, no matter what my race is, no matter what my background is, no matter how much wealth I have, we're all in this together. We're trying to get through the hardships of life. We're trying to make it through these storms. We're trying to, make it as easy as possible in our hearts as we possibly can. In the sense that, we don't want to go through the worst of suffering. No one wants to go through the worst of suffering, and anyone who has certainly does not want to return to that state of being. So this image makes me think of the unity of animals, the unity of humanity, and coming together and going through similar hardships and appreciation of warmth. So I think this image decoded quite well as anyone on YouTube could have done it. As you know, this is the First and Best Beeple Reactions YouTube channel on the internet. So please make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, and tune in next time, and we're going to get through all these Beeple images together. Even if I get 0 subscribers and 0 views, I'm going to carry on making this video, because I've learned a real lesson from this image, which is that what's the real lesson from this image? Is that we're all in this together. We're all in this together. So if you're tuning in, if you're watching, if you enjoy the content, make sure you subscribe.